All right, Greg, we are back for our third and final segment of the show. We're going to talk AFC North football, and you tell me why you believe it is the worst division in all of professional football.
Well, let's just start out with the Cincinnati Bengals. They are a complete mess. They are just one of the worst teams I've seen in a while. And at first, at the beginning of the year, I was like, hey, you know what? These guys aren't that bad. Like, they competed early with the Seahawks in Week 1. They hung around. Then they got absolutely smoked in Week 2. Week 3, they were a little bit better. They had a solid game against a very good Bills team that the Bills needed to come back in the fourth quarter to win. But the wheels have slowly but surely come off there. And then they're sitting winless at the bottom of the division. Then you talk about the Steelers, the injury bug, twice now biting them at quarterback, 1-4 start. I think they're, for all intents and purposes, done. Then you have the Ravens, who came out like gangbusters, 2-0. They beat the two worst teams in the NFL in the Miami Dolphins and the Arizona Cardinals, or arguably two top 5 worst teams in the NFL in those two teams. And they've quickly come back down to earth despite winning over the weekend. They were shellacked by the next team that I'll mention, and that is the Cleveland Browns, Chris. The vaunted Super Bowl contending, AFC title winning Cleveland Browns, who got absolutely embarrassed in San Francisco on Monday night.
Did they?
This division...
I missed that game.
Oh, yeah? This division is just so unimpressive, and I really think that as we continue to go down this season, this division's going to come down to Week 16 or Week 17, and it's just like unbelievably bad. It's going to be, so whoever wins this is going to be like 9-7. It's one of those years, like when the Seahawks made the playoffs at 8-7-1 on the last day of the season. Again, it was them and the Rams tied in the NFC West, and they ended up winning with a 8-8 record or whatever that was.
Well, I think whoever wins the AFC South is probably also going to be 9-7. So I don't think that's the death blow you seem to think it is. Look, I still buy the Ravens. I really do. And I still have faith in the Browns' talent to sort of surpass the horrible coaching that they're getting right now. Steelers are a question mark and the Bengals are terrible. I don't disagree with that. And if we're looking at the odds to win the AFC South, the Ravens are -150 at Bovada, the Browns +140, and the Steelers +1200. Is there? Where's your money going on that? Because I think that's really interesting.
I can't believe the Browns would have that low of odds.
I
really can't. I don't. I mean, I've never been a Baker guy. I've never, I think he can certainly be a formidable quarterback, but I think that there's just too many other holes on that team. That offensive line is like Swiss cheese.
The right side, that's not fair. The right side of that offensive line is Swiss cheese. The right side.
Well, the right side is getting Baker killed and making him take a lot more flack than I think he actually deserves. Now, has he been great? Sure, not a ton, but he had the Browns in a position to go down by 4, in the second quarter of that game.
Yeah.
And Antonio Callaway throws the ball up in the air in the end zone, and it gets picked off. Like, I can't blame Baker for that.
No,
the Ravens.
That was the end of the game for the right, and I think you know that too. As soon as when that momentum hit, it was over, and that was also the last time Antonio Callaway saw the field that game.
And deservedly so. I mean, you're absolutely correct. You almost threw me off that was the end of the game. I was like, did I get it wrong when that happened? But no, it essentially was done after that. They had no chance of ever coming back and being somewhat competitive. All the momentum just tilted in the favor of the 49ers. I think the Ravens are the play in that Bovada line. I mean, -150, it's not the best value in the world, but it feels like almost the most, lockish of those odds.
Well, it's a matter of which Lamar Jackson are you getting, though, because we saw a very not promising Lamar Jackson last week.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a fantasy owner of Lamar, I think this is where teams get in trouble with guys who like to use their feet. I don't think that Lamar relies on his running, but the Ravens are almost scheming everything that way, and that's what's going to get them in trouble. It's what gets guys like this in trouble all the time. Guys who use their feet and mobility so much that they start to the team starts to game plan it, and they're running the ball more than necessary with their quarterback. One, putting him in danger, and two, I mean, teams start to figure that out. It's a reason why the spy was invented to try and defend Michael Vick. It was a reason why, the effectiveness of Kaepernick once teams started keeping him in the pocket, it changed, and he wasn't able to run and be that game breaker that he potentially had the ability to be. And that's what worries me the most about Lamar. But they have some weapons on that team outside of Lamar that they need to rely on. Pound Mark Ingram. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, no, that's certainly true. It's a weird division. Steelers probably should have beaten the Ravens this past weekend. The Steelers had multiple opportunities, including one of the most perplexing decisions I've seen in a while, to defend the ball, in overtime rather than taking the ball and winning the game. Speaks to how confident they were about their offense. Here's the thing, to hit the topic for a second. I think the only division you can talk about as being worse overall than the AFC North is probably the AFC East. Obviously, they have the Patriots at the top, and they're the best team in football at the moment. But after that, I don't buy the Bills at 4-1. I don't think you buy the Bills at 4-1. And then you have the Jets and the Dolphins at 0-8 cumulatively, who are just terrible, terrible football teams. So I think if we have to argue something against that, I would have to say the AFC East, because they have more horrible teams than the AFC North has.
The Jets have gotten a raw deal. I mean, they didn't look great, but they don't look great because their coach is an idiot.
Well, ditto for Cleveland, though.
Yeah, it's true. You can't give Sam Darnold every rep in practice and then the day of the game be like, yeah, he's still out with mono.
Yeah.
Luke Falk, good luck, buddy. Godspeed. The Dolphins obviously are terrible. I believe in the Bills a little bit more than you do. I don't think they're necessarily world beaters. But that defense definitely has something behind them. And Josh Allen's been good. I mean, I can't, he's led game-winning drives. He's done everything that's been needed. He is another guy that puts himself in dangerous situations that I don't like, much like young Mr. Wentz also puts himself in dumb, weird situations where he could potentially get hurt. And we saw that in the Patriots game. A game they still had a chance to win late, which was surprising for how good the Patriots have been all year. I just think
I like Allen. I do.
I do. Yeah.
I think the biggest issue I have with Allen is you never know when you're going to get that 13 for 28 for 153 and 3 picks game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely always out there as a potential possibility. I just still think that the hype of the offseason is really what makes me cling to this AFC North take, and it's because, the Steelers being on their third quarterback, that is what it is. We know the Bengals stink. But this Browns team was lauded, Chris. OBJ, we're here now. Now there's rumblings they might be wanting to get rid of him.
I don't believe that for a second.
Listen, I don't believe it either because I think that's a weird move to make unless you were really getting something good in return, and I don't know if anybody's going to offer that.
I heard the Eagles were trading for A.J. Green, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, and a host of other NFL superstars. So what's that? What do these trade rumors actually mean?
I don't know. The NFL trade thing is weird. Like, I remember growing up, there was like never trades in the NFL. Now there's just trades all the time, which is crazy to me. I don't need AJ Green on the Eagles. I just stop. Jalen Ramsey, still a Jaguar, which is an interesting move. I know.
I want to ask you something that I asked Mario on the NFL show yesterday. Alshon Jeffrey, what do you think legitimately his 40 time is right now? Because Mario and I both came to about the same number in our heads.
I would say it's probably in like the 4.8 range.
Yeah, I went 4.85. I think that's about what it is right now. He cannot get any separation.
I also think it doesn't help that the teams know he's really like the only option on the outside for us right now. With Deshaun being out, like teams aren't. Nelson Aguilar doesn't strike the fear that he potentially could because of his speed, but his hands don't strike the fear into people anymore. I don't, So teams can key on Alshon and key on Ertz and make sure that they don't give them the ability to even try to get separated and get open.
Well, yeah, the loss of Deshaun Jackson has completely changed the look of the offense. There's nobody who stretches the field. Everything's condensed. Everything's packed in the middle. Ugh, it's bad. They need to address the speed receiver issue this offseason, whether it's, in the draft with a guy like Jalen Reagor from TCU or Henry Ruggs from Alabama or through free agency. The Dolphins gave Kenny Stills away. Basically, he was negative value in the Laramie Tunsil trade because the Texans were taking on his contract. He would look really good in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah, he would. The Eagles are running into the same situation that hurt them last year when it came to not having a guy that could extend the field. When Mike Wallace broke his leg, the Eagles' offense looked a lot different. I mean, Mike Wallace wasn't giving us a ton of production, and he broke his leg relatively early in the season, but you're watching the same sort of effects happen again this year with Deshaun being out. Now, luckily, Deshaun is hopefully back this week. Maybe
he's already rolled out this week.
Was he? I thought I had seen a report that
already ruled out and targeting now weeks somewhere in the week 7 to 9 range.
Just be back for Dallas next week.
I don't think he's going to be. I think he should have gotten surgery.
At this point, it probably would have healed faster.
It was a 6-week recovery, so he would have been back week 7. Yeah.
Man, that's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of one of those things that they're going to need to get younger in this position, and continuing to sign, veteran fast guys has proven not great. It just hasn't really worked out for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, they need somebody to run fast down the sidelines so that defenses have to pay attention to them. So I'm gonna wrap up my point here: AFC East versus AFC North. I think right now you're probably correct in that the AFC North is the worst division in football at the moment. I think when things are all said and done, I think we're going to agree that the AFC East is worse. I think the Patriots are going to finish somewhere 13-3, 14-2. And the Bills are going to come back to earth. I think this is probably an 8-win team, maybe 9. But then the Jets and the Dolphins, they're going to be fighting for the first pick in the draft. I know Darnold's coming back, but I just don't think he's worth that many points to this Jets team to lead them to a number of victories. But when you look at the AFC North, I think the Ravens are going to be in that 8-8, 9-7 range. I think the Browns are going to be in right around that 8-8 range. I think the Steelers are going to win, probably 5 games, something like that. And the Bengals will probably, the Bengals will be in that competition with the Dolphins and the Jets, to be fair. But I think there's going to be way more bad teams in the AFC East and the AFC North.
We'll see. I don't know how many games Pittsburgh can actually win.
Delvin Hodges, baby, new era.
Yeah, great. I'm sure all the terrible towel waving guys love that situation that's going on. I mean, I don't necessarily know if the Browns can turn it around. Now, they do have a favorable schedule as they go. I just think that this division is going to be something that's very sloppy, and it usually is like a cannibalize itself division. The AFC North always seems to sort of beat itself. I don't like them. I don't like any of the teams. I don't think this is gonna work out very well for a lot of them in there, except for Baltimore.
Well,
it's not very good.
Gregory, we shall see when it is all said and done. Until then, that's been this week's episode of You're Wrong, and Here's Why. For Greg Crone, I'm Chris Horwedel. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next week.